Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7, and today we are checking out the Vosteed Akita, and that's with the ultimate goal of seeing if this is worth adding to your collection or your daily carry. Now, this knife did come to me from the Lefty Pass Around group. It is not mine to keep, and it will go back to the Lefty Pass Around group after my review. Now, with Vosteed, something they're known for, especially recently, is all of their innovative locking systems. So they started doing the top liner lock as soon as the patent on Spyderco's compression lock ran out. And then on this, we have their Vancor locking system, which is essentially like it's a pivot actuated liner lock. And if you get a look in there, you can see as I push the button, we've got what would be a liner kind of recessing in there. Which means that just by pushing the pivot down, you can actuate the locking system and close the knife, right? Which is pretty cool. Not the first time we've seen it, but it is nice. Now, as far as the aesthetics of the knife go, I actually really enjoy this look. Some people might call it boring, but we've got this really nice gray finish, like this bluish gray. And then we've got this, I don't know what you would say, this more of an actual gray or like a bead blasted gray for the pivot. We do just have regular satin hardware, satin pocket clip, satin screws, and then we go back to that kind of bead blasted gray look. The handles are all aluminum. We have this milled starburst pattern in the lower half, which I think looks really good. They do have different milling patterns. They've got two with the starburst and then two with what look like, it looks like an inlay, but I believe it's just milling that's shaped like an inlay. We have T8 hardware on everything except for right here. These two screws are T6s, but everything else, including the pocket screws, those are all T8s. We have a reversible stamped steel pocket clip, and it's deep carry. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty darn deep carry. And then we have a single standoff. Now, as far as the blade goes, the website says this is a Bowie, which I can kind of see. I think I would lean more towards clip point, but we'll just say Bowie clip point, dealer's choice. We have a nice satin finish on the blade, a full flat grind, and the blade steel we're using is S35 VN. Now, S35 VN is pretty average across the board. It doesn't have any major weaknesses, and then it does really well for corrosion resistance. So it's a good balanced steel with high corrosion resistance. And then the website says HRC 61 plus or minus 1, which essentially means 60 to 62, which for S35 VN is pretty par for the course. That's what most companies are hitting it at. Now, as far as the action goes, the detent on this is fantastic. And I say that because you can build up a lot of pressure before it deploys, but it's not a hard detent, right? So like, it's not the strongest detent, but you can still kind of like build up a little bit and then it comes flying out, right? So I find that super satisfying. As far as the acoustics go, the acoustics on the way out are good. Very snappy. But the acoustics on the way back in, they're pretty thin, not the most satisfying. And I would just say the acoustics on the way back in aren't that satisfying. Like, they're fine. The way out's good. The way in it's okay. As far as the close goes, it's like a light guillotine, right? So if I push the button in, right, see, it falls down pretty quick, but it's not falling down with a lot of weight. And we don't have any lock bar access because there isn't a lock bar, and this knife is lefty friendly. Bear with me, I will get it. I don't do anything lefty, so don't take this as an example of what it would be like. There we go. And there we go. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. And then we have that reversible clip. Now the overall length of this knife is coming in at 7.11 inches, and the blade is coming in at 2.94, which means our blade to handle ratio is a 0.7%, or a 70% rather. And I think that's pretty obvious, right? Like if 80% is where we want to be, then, you know, at 0.7, it's pretty clear to see that the blade is way shorter than the rest of the handle. You know, so kind of a bummer. If that's the type of thing that you care about. That is something that I care about. That's something that's very important to me. So, but if you don't care about it, then this is perfectly fine. As far as the weight, we're looking at 4.9 ounces. So given the size, this thing's hefty. Like this is a fat boy. And as far as the balance goes, yeah, we're not, oh. Yeah, I would say we're not too balanced. We're pretty darn butt heavy. Considering that you want your finger to be at least up here, if not up here or even here. Speaking of which, I skipped right over ergos. So ergonomically, they give you a very generous finger groove, and then they give you a very generous like finger choil. So for me, I would hold the knife just like this. And this is incredibly comfortable. You have a lot of control. You have a lot of room to spread out. Yeah, you can come back here, but you're kind of pushing your middle finger into this divot, which is going to be a hot spot. You can also come back here, and I have extra large glove hands. You can come back here, and I'm still getting a 4-finger grip. Right, so it's not too bad. But I don't see any reason why I wouldn't just take the most comfortable grip, take up all the space that I possibly can, and also have the most control. Now, as far as the jimping is semi-functional, right? So like if I push on the jimping, I can still slide forward, but it's not just for indexing, right? I can push down on it and still slide forward, but it does offer some traction. But I do kind of wonder if the jimping was more meant for the front flip and less meant for actual use. So it's semi-functional. Let's go ahead and do a size comparison. We will start with the Kubi Verajero. So quite a bit shorter than the Verajero. We will do the Mini Momo. Let me get the Momo up there. It's a little easier to see. So it's about the same. Well, let me make sure I have it squared up. Yeah, it looks like the Mini Momo has it beat by just a little bit. And then we'll also do the full-size bird blade Sweeney. So overall, it is a fairly short knife. I actually want to try one more of my smaller knives to see. This is the Real Steel Sylph. Okay, so the Sylph beats it by a little bit, but not a whole lot. So it's pretty close to the Real Steel Sylph. Now, what's the price on this knife? This knife comes in at $139.99, and that's on the Vosteed website. Now, would I carry this? No, I would not. But it's for very subjective reasons. So I'll tell you why I wouldn't carry it, but then I'll tell you why anybody who wants to should. The blade to handle ratio throws me off a little bit. I really like a knife that's got, what looks like a 50-50, right? So an 80.8 or 80% blade to handle ratio is what I like to see. So you're going to see that in, well, you'll see closer to that in the Sweeney, right? So they're pretty, well, here, let's just go pivot to pivot. So overall, the handles are pretty close to the same length, with the Sweeney having a little more handle, but way more blade, right? So while the Sweeney isn't necessarily giving me that 50-50 look, it's a heck of a lot closer than the Akita is, right? So I value that. The other thing is the button travel. So if I push the button down as far as my thumb can go before it gets stopped by the outer ring, it's not deactivated. And the advantage to that is it makes it hard to accidentally deactivate it. So what I actually have to do is I actually have to position my finger in such a way that I can go way past where my thumb can go just by pushing, like this. So I really have to kind of get in there and bottom that button out for it to drop shut. I don't like doing that. I don't like having to push so hard because I'm a fidgeter, as I'm sure a lot of us are. And I don't want to have to put that much effort into deactivating the pivot. So I can do it. It just isn't the most comfortable, and it's kind of tiring my thumb out. Like I can feel some pressure in here. Oh yeah, sorry, in here. Which, once again, not the end of the world. But, if we're nitpicking and we're spending this much on a knife, then I can choose to be picky. Now, with those two things being said, Vosteed makes a fantastic knife. They make an absolutely amazing knife. These guys don't miss, right? So those are the only two gripes I have, and those two gripes are heavily subjective. Some people are going to say, this is all the usable blade I need, so let me get my whole hand in there, let me get comfortable, and then I don't need more blade than this, right? You're going to have people that say that. You're going to have some people that say that the extra effort in deactivating this is going to add to the fidgetiness of it. You're going to have some people that are like, yeah, that breaks up the open and close. You'll have some people that like that. And that's awesome. I think this knife is right for the majority of people. I think it's highly recommendable. Unless you're like me and you want more blade to handle, and having to drive your finger so far into the pivot to disengage it, if that is going to be like a bother to you, well, then maybe this knife isn't the right one for you. There are other knives in Vosteed's lineup, which I would recommend over this one. One being the Vosteed Martin. It's one of my favorite, probably my favorite Vosteed of all time. Well, they have that new Gavco collaboration coming out, which looks pretty awesome. And then they have the Valhund, which is awesome. So yeah, I mean, Vosteed has a lot of incredible knives. Fantastic company. I cannot stress it enough. They literally don't miss. You know what my subjective gripes are with this knife, but if you have the same gripes with this knife, still go to Vosteed's website. I'll have it linked down in the description, and still check them out because you're going to find something that you not only like, but something that you absolutely love. And I'll even link some of my favorite Vosteeds in the description. So you tell me, is this a knife that you would carry? If it is, or if it's not, drop a comment below and let me know if it has a spot in your daily carry, if it has a spot in your collection. Like I said, the link for Vosteed's website and this knife, as well as a few of my favorite Vosteed knives, are going to be linked in the description. And if you want more reviews like this, hit the like button and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram at SEVRSEVN. And thank you so much for watching. I appreciate the support. I appreciate the comments. And until next time.